Okay, let's move on to another book excerpt, and this one is a good one. Wolfsbane. So let us begin. A dozen members of the Dark Mechanicum worked on Horus' damaged armor. He refused to take it off, and the bravest, most ambitious of the fleet's Martian armorers had been called to perform the repairs. They were wise enough to remain silent, discussing the damage to the machinery of the armor via data pulse. Horus stood with his arms resting at shoulder's height upon the frame. His hand twitched with irritation. The adepts scuttled around him, probing at him with their tools. But as the crocodiles of ancient terror allowed small birds to cleanse their teeth, so Horus forbore their attentions. Darkness surrounded the War Master. The lights of his armory were out, save a single shaft of red that illuminated his power-swollen body. Gushes of scented steam rushed out of tubes around him, benedictions to the twisted machine spirit of his armor, and contraceptics for his wounds. An unnecessary precaution. Russ had cut him deep, but since Moloch, his prodigious power of self-repair had improved tenfold, and the wound was already closing. A dull ache in his kidney and an itching scar were all that remained to remind him of Rus's assassination attempt. Horus lived. Russ' legion had been ravaged, and he doubted the Wolf King would be in any state to fight for a while. Despite his victory, Horus was in an ill temper. He could have killed Russ. A rasping fanfare announced an incoming hololight request. There were only a few men in his fleet who dared to communicate with the War Master directly. The message would be important. The lives of those who wasted Horus' time were measured in seconds. "Leave me," he said to the adepts. They bowed and groveled and picked up their tools. Before the fanfare sounded again, they had vacated the room. "Follow it on," commanded Horus. A ghostly miniature of Ezekiel Abaddon manifested in line with Horus's eyes. "My Lord Horus," said Abaddon, "the Space Wolves are leaving the system in disarray. It would take little to kill them all. They are finished as a legion. If you want permission to pursue them, you have it," said Horus. "I will gather my armies immediately," said Abaddon. "The World Bearers already pursue them, as do the World Eaters. Reinforce your company with Alpharius's Get," said Horus. "They will appreciate the opportunity to finish what they began at Alexis. Hunt them down. Kill them all. I will have none of Russ's warriors left alive to bear their fangs at me, Ezekiel. When you are done with them, bring me my brother's head." Abaddon's phantom smiled in anticipation of the slaughter. He began to outline his intentions, but Horus' attention drifted. The pain in his side swelled from a dull ache, and his hearing dimmed. He shut his eyes, felt weak, disconnected from the world around him, and an image flickered in his mind's eye, displacing his immediate surroundings. He saw himself upon a vast field, fighting an endless horde of demonkind. But he was not Horus the War Master. He was Horus Lupercal, favored of the Emperor. This other Horus turned his face skyward to where the War Master's presence watched, and shouted words that the War Master could not hear. His face was twisted in anguish and hatred, and a tremor ran through the War Master's soul at the sight of this other self. So many deaths, he seemed to be saying. So much betrayal. So many oaths broken. So much blood, Horus whispered. Abaddon stopped his gloating. My lord? Horus came back to himself suddenly. His eyes opened. Sweat trickled down into his eyes. He felt nauseous. Weakness he could never show, and he hated deep within himself. Nothing. Destroy the Space Wolves. When you are done, rejoin me. The moment to strike is upon us. Today I shall send out a call to our fleets and our armies, he said. The time has come to make our drive for Terra. We move on Belagarmund. I like to consider that this was Horus's glimpse into his, well, alternate version. The version that would have, not have betrayed the Emperor. But this theory also gives us something interesting. And it gives us the idea that no matter what you do, a heresy was going to start either way, be it from Horus's hands or someone else's hands. But such is the fate in the world of 40k.